But about 2 months ago, you were hosting arguably one of the most influential men on the face of the planet in Pope Francis. What was it like?
It's phenomenal. First of all, it was phenomenal for me personally. Now, I knew him. I was honored to be part of the conclave that elected him. So obviously I got to know him pretty well. But this was the first time I kind of got to spend some time with him, because there were a lot of quiet moments when it was just the two of us, like when we were in the back of the car, or when we'd be vesting, or even, it wasn't that long, it was only 38 hours. Even Friday morning when he said, come on, sit down, we're not leaving for 15 minutes, sit down and let's talk. So just to be with him personally, for me, was a real treat, and a real growth in knowledge and respect and love for him. What got to me, first of all, again, what I had already known was that he was a man of sincerity and simplicity. But I saw that, and I added another S to it: sincerity, simplicity, and serenity. Can you imagine? I mean, here you got a man who's going to address the United Nations. Here you've got a man that just came from addressing Congress. Here you're in the back when I'm sitting in the Pope-mobile with hundreds of thousands of people, just with this enthusiastic reception. And you could just see an interior joy, just a sense of serenity. There was not any fear, there was not any nervousness, which tells me always, Will, that there's something deep down inside. We only see the exterior. With him, there's something deep going on. So there's number one, personally. Secondly, for me to see the effect that he had on my people. You just can't believe it. An immediate effect, again, that I would be with him, say in the back of that Pope-mobile, and that I would see the effect that he would have on the people. Let me give you an example. Tens of thousands of New York policemen, of course, lined up, all with their backs to him, right? Because they're security, they're looking at the crowd. Not a one of them didn't kind of sneak a look. And you could just see them kind of make the sign of the cross. Those kind of reactions, when I saw the impact that he had on my people, that was teaching. Not just the immediate impact. My priests are telling me now the number of confessions, that attendance at Mass has gone up. I just met with our Catholic Charities Director, Father Eric Cruz, who takes care of the Bronx, which, as you know, is one of the poorest areas in the United States. He says, we have more volunteers than we know what to do with. In our soup kitchens, in our homeless shelters, in our children's programs, we have so many people after the visit of Pope Francis who have called to say, we want to get involved. That's what you call an impact, right? So it was great.
What direction do you see today's young people taking the church in future generations?
I'm not saying it to flatter you. So you wouldn't remember. How old are you, Will?
21.
You see, when I was in college, so I'm 65, so I was in college from 68 to 72. Any priest, any bishop would have been scared to visit a college campus, because the presumption was that you had defiant, revolutionary anarchists. Now, that wasn't always true, but that was the perception. Today, I love being on college campuses, because the young people I meet are extraordinarily genuine. They're very open to faith. They'd be the first to admit that perhaps they don't practice it as well as they should, but they're remarkably open to faith. They're very interested in the faith. And I just find it very affirming. I find it extraordinarily uplifting. Not that people don't ask tough questions, not that sometimes there's not delicate moments, but in general, I'm just so moved by see, it used to be like the bias was against the faith. The bias was against religion. Now on college campuses, I'm talking about Catholic college campuses. I don't get invited to too many non-Catholic ones. It's almost as if the bias is in favor of the church. And that, of course, is so refreshing and so rewarding.
Leading into that, what do you see the role of the Catholic University in society today?
The Catholic, as you know, it was the church that founded the universities. We so often, sometimes critics who don't know their history will say, oh, why would the Catholic Church have universities? The Catholic Church is interested in doctrine, and the Catholic Church is interested in authority and tradition. The university is questioning and probing and daring. How could the church have a university? And I say to them, well, you know, we founded them. We're kind of, the church is the one that founded the universities. Why? Because in the genius of Catholicism, there's an alliance between faith and reason. I'm going to talk about that tonight. I don't know if you're going to come to the lecture, because I'm going to talk about our 3 recent popes. And Pope Benedict was a great example of faith and reason. See, usually a religion will go to one extreme to the other. Usually a religion, look at the fanatics we got today, will say, pardon me, it's all faith. The mind has nothing to do with it. Reason has nothing to do with it. Learning has nothing to do with it. It's just raw belief. That leads to fundamentalism. Or it's all reason. We don't believe faith. The Bible couldn't be inspired. That's rationalism. The genius of Catholicism is that faith and reason have always been allied. And what happens? Bingo, you got the university. Because that's where faith and reason do a daily tango. And that's the genius of our, see, you know, there would be some who would say, why in the world would a church be interested in giving a business degree? Big deal. What does the church have to do with that? Well, you'd say, you know what? For a Catholic, when the second person of the Most Blessed Trinity, the eternal Word, God the Son, when he took flesh in the incarnation and entered human history, everything human has value. Everything of interest to the human person has value because God is part of it. So there's nothing alien. There's nothing that the church is not interested in. Music, poetry, literature, science. Why are some of the great scientists the faithful Catholics? Technology, business, healthcare. It's all of interest to the church because, darn it, as St. Irenaeus says, the glory of God is the human person fully alive. Anything that makes us fully alive is of value to a believer in God, which is the church. That's the role of the university, right?
I think they're waving us. Thanks so much.
No, I didn't get to ask you guys anything. Could I ask you guys something? Would you give me a hair transplant?
He might have some to spare.